Equality ERA Now is a grassroots, there's a key word, grassroots movement co-founded by Alyssa Jacobson, we'll call her AJ, and Alyssa Steigerwalt, we'll just call her Alyssa S. Welcome to the show, ladies. Welcome to Choose Views.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So here's the thing. I want to make sure that I don't talk over you guys, and I know I'll probably have questions and comments along the way. But for those who are listening, we have Alyssa squared this morning. We have Alyssa Jacobson, Alyssa Steigerwalt. And I was saying to Devin, our engineer this morning, I said, gosh, that must be interesting sitting in a meeting with them and going, so, Alyssa. And then, Alyssa. And I'm sure you guys have had someone say that to you dozens of times over the years.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
We always say to say Alyssa, and one of us will respond.
There you go. So I'll give you guys the mic, but welcome to Choose Views and welcome to WCPT. And we really appreciate the work that you're doing. I'm as excited, curious, hopeful about the conversation that's going on right now about President Biden. We had one of our listeners send to me this morning the link about President Biden publishing the ERA and direct the publication of the Equal Rights Amendment as the 28th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. I know you guys are leaning in that 24/7. So tell our listeners a little bit about what you've created, and tell us a little bit about the organization and as you go forward. And Alyssa Jacobson, why don't you take the mic first, and then Alyssa Steigerwalt, you can fill in the blanks.
Right. So thank you so much for having us. We're very excited to be here. Like you said, I'm Alyssa Jacobson. I'm here with my colleague, Alyssa Steigerwalt, and we started this grassroots movement after the election because, like so many people, we were searching for a way to channel our frustration and to fight back. Everyone kept saying, it's time to act, time to get organized. So this movement is our answer.
Alyssa Steigerwalt.
Yeah, and we actually, for anyone who is interested in getting involved with the grassroots movement and channeling that frustration, we meet weekly right now. We actually have a webinar tonight, one of our weekly public webinars, and that's a great place to just sort of get involved in this discussion and sort of figure out how you can take action. So we have that at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you're on social, we're Equality Era Now on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and you can actually find the link to our webinar there in our bio, as well as everything else you need. So, yeah, we'd love to have anyone involved who would like to be.
So right out of the gate, one of the quick things that pops into my mind is, you guys got this started since the election, but I know that prior to the election, this was something that was on your minds, and it's a conversation that, irrespective of who won this national election and who won the Senate races, the House races, state legislatures, and all the rest, that it's an important conversation. It's beyond important. It's something that should be equal rights should be enshrined in our Constitution. What has been motivating you guys, though, since the election to push even harder?
Well, so a lot of people are in panic mode right now, trying to pass bills, get things done in the final hour before Trump takes office. We firmly believe that everyone should put their fighting energy behind the cause of the ERA because it really affects everyone. And we really believe that this is something we're going to need in the coming years more than ever. So the fight became a lot more urgent after the election because there's so much at stake, so much that can be rolled back, hard-fought rights. So it feels more urgent than ever. But like you said, regardless of who won, women should be in the Constitution. I'm not sure if people fully understand, but women are not explicitly protected by the Constitution. We're not guaranteed gender equality under the law in this country. So really, considering the incoming administration, that's especially terrifying, and we want to do something about that.
Alyssa?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's something like 80% of Americans mistakenly believe that the Constitution actually does already guarantee gender equality. So there is like a huge misconception there. But the vast majority, obviously believe women should have equal rights with men in this country. And that's all we're looking to try to do. And like Alyssa said, we want to just have some protection, a sort of foundation to really help in these fights in these years ahead. And this is going to be a constitutional amendment. I know a lot of people have a lot of doubts. We can't predict what will happen in these coming years, and things can just kind of go by the wayside. But this is not just something that can go away if we get this in place. It will outlive anyone on the Supreme Court. It will provide protections for centuries to come. So this is something that will really be able to stay in place if we can get this published. So it's a very big deal for sure.
What are the obstacles that are going to be faced in these next 40 plus days, or period for President Biden to get this done?
So there are actually a few different approaches happening, and there's a lot of fantastic organizations working towards this right now. But just to let everybody know just how close the Equal Rights Amendment is, it's already met the 38-state ratification requirement. It passed with a two-thirds vote in the House and the Senate all the way back in the 70s. This fight has been going on for 101 years. Actually, 101 years today. December 10th was a very significant day, so we're extra lucky to be speaking to you today. But the only thing holding it up is this arbitrary deadline, and Congress can actually remove this deadline with a resolution called HJ Res 25. It's only a few Republican signatures away from a floor vote. So right now, we're currently focusing the majority of our efforts on getting 4 more Republican signatures before Congress adjourns next week. Granted, that is a lofty goal on a tight timeline, but we've been targeting 8 strategic reps with calls, letters, social media, op-eds to build pressure. We just need 4 more Republicans to sign on to this discharge petition so that Congress can vote to remove the deadline, and that would move it to publication. Now, I've heard you mention, and many groups too are focusing on the Biden approach. There is another route that organizations are taking, calling for him to instruct the archivist to simply publish it. So there's a few different approaches, all to the same end. We're all fighting for the same thing, trying to get the ERA published before the next administration takes office.
Alyssa, any other thoughts on what the obstacles are?
Yeah, I mean, just like AJ said, it's one of those things, like, it is a tight deadline, but I think the flip side of it, we know the obstacles, but the flip side is I think a lot of people are like, doesn't this take so long, and how can we possibly push this through? Like Alyssa said, we already have the 38 state required ratifications. We already have that 2/3 vote. So a lot of that legwork has been done, and that is why so many of the organizations who have been working on this really believe it's a winnable goal. So we really think we can get there.
Who are the Republicans that you guys, either of you can, and both of you can respond to this, who are the Republicans that you think are, for lack of better words, gettable? And that's going to lead to another question about how we go forward in 2025. But who are those 4 Republicans that you think, or 5 or 6 that we might get surprised, are the ones that are gettable?
So right now we're focusing on a group. There's actually 4 from New York who have expressed pro-ERA leanings in the past. So there's Anthony D'Esposito, Mark Molinaro, Brandon Williams, Nicole Malliotakis. So anyone listening in New York, if those are your reps, start reaching out to them, start hounding them. We have Michelle Park-Steele from California, Jen Kagan in Virginia, Kate Granger from Texas, Kathy Rogers from Washington. So those are 8 Republican reps that we have been focusing all of our fighting energy on, trying to apply pressure to get them to sign on and get this resolution to a floor vote.
So one of the things I'd like you guys to do when you get a chance, send me an email of the list of those Republicans, because I'd like to do something with that as it relates to the show. Because here's the thing, as I said this before you guys came on, that part of the work that we should be all doing in the progressive liberal democratic conversation is calling not just our representatives and senators, meaning blue, if you will, but those that are, for lack of better words, on the other side of the aisle. We should be letting them know, as much as we contact our own people, hey, we need you to step into this legislation, not just with the ERA, but with all legislation that's going to be beneficial to all communities in the country. And I'm a big proponent of that. Don't just call the people that we know, call the ones that we don't know to get them to understand that, hey, listen, I'm in Chicago, but I'm calling you as a representative in New York or California or Texas or wherever to let you know we are watching you and y'all need to step up your game. And this is one of those opportunities, I think, for all of us to call those 8 representatives in the House to make sure that they understand, hey, we're watching you. What do you guys think about that?
That is what our whole movement is. Oh.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, that is what we're all about. And in our bio at our poly or now on social, we have a link actually right to that toolkit, which is exactly what you're talking about, Richard. It is the phone numbers of those reps, their DC and their home office. It is their emails. It is their social handles. And there are scripts right in there for how you can contact them, just a simple copy paste or read this. And you're exactly right. We have to make our voices heard with them because they need to hear what their constituents want. And this is hugely popular. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes that we get caught up, and this is just understandable, of calling our representatives. And I've even said it myself, so I can take some of that responsibility to call our representatives, meaning the ones that are specific to a district that we're from or our state. I think that we as progressives have got to broaden that now and say, you know what, I'm going to call the other side as well, because it's probably unlikely that members of their constituencies aren't calling them to push them to do the things that are good, that are better for the good of the entire country. So one of our superpowers going forward, and you guys seem to have already created some of this, is for us as Democrats to call Republicans and say, hey, wait a minute, you need to do better, because they're not used to that. They're used to getting the glad hand calls from their constituents. So I'd love to get that link. I know you guys will send me a trove of stuff because I'm going to definitely repurpose that and get that out to our listeners and our followers. And for those who are listening to Alyssa Squared this morning on our show, you guys have to email me so that I can then send you what they send me, so that empowers you guys as our listeners throughout the country to make sure we're furthering the work that these two wonderful women are doing. I mean, I'm so impressed that you guys put this together, groundswell, grassroots after the election, and you're up and running and you're making things happen. Is it good medicine for other folks to take on not similar issues, but other issues in a similar way and start something just like you guys have done?
Yep. We keep saying, turn your anxiety into action. I mean, this movement would be a testament to just how many big feelings we had after the election, and we needed somewhere to put all of that effort. And instead of doom scrolling and falling into despair and just letting that consume us, we said, we could turn this into positive action and work towards meaningful change. And along the way, we're really going out of our comfort zone. This isn't our background. We've learned a lot. I hadn't personally really called any reps before, and now I call them every day. And it's just something that I think is great for the American people to start learning how to find their voice and contact the people that are supposed to represent us and work for the people. So it's a really good practice, and I encourage everyone, even if it doesn't sound like your cup of tea, like it's not something you would normally do, not something we normally would do either, but, these are interesting times that we're living in, and it's time for all of us to rise up and work towards our collective voice. So we have, like Alyssa said, all the scripts. We'll get everything to you, Richard, to share, and we're hoping to just make as much noise as possible so they have to listen to us.
I like that. So they have to listen to us. Well, and I appreciate you guys saying it that way, and not from a position of arrogance, but from a position of how do we move things forward. We have a ton of listeners. One of our listeners and contributors to the show, her name is Karen Byrne, and she and a good friend of hers have a podcast. It's called True Blue Politics Podcast, and they started this thing a year ago with the goal of being to do as much as they could to lean into the conversation centering on the election. Here we are now, and we did not get the outcome we wanted. But I've said this so many times. It doesn't mean our ideas, and I've said this for a long time, but week before last, David Jolly was on MSNBC, and he said the thing that can't happen is we can't think that our ideas lost this election. our ideas are better. They're right. They're on point. Why would we not want to have equal rights for all citizens in the United States of America? How could we live in a society where we didn't have that enshrined in our quote unquote most powerful, federal document, which is the Constitution? So I applaud you guys for taking up the mantle and saying, got to do something with this frustration and this outcome that's going to benefit the entire country. What and what that's going to represent to so many millions of people throughout the country. So you guys are definitely on to something. Are you getting a lot of support from new followers? Are you getting a lot of support from organizations? What's happening in that space?
Yeah, we've had such great opportunities to connect and collaborate. There's so many wonderful groups that have been doing this for a long time. Like I said, the ERA has been a 101-year-long fight. So there are some really great, well-established groups, and they have been so helpful towards us. It's really been a wonderful opportunity to connect, share resources, pool ideas, and so the collaboration has been amazing. And then on the flip side, just getting new people to this movement is wonderful, seeing their energy and getting their fresh ideas. We kind of like to say that we're bringing in a fresh new energy to this fight that's been going on for a century, and we have a lovely mix of people who have been doing this for decades and people who just got started yesterday. So we're just trying to bridge the gap and bring everyone together, and it's been really powerful.
Alyssa, would it be fair to say that find something that you're passionate about that's important to the country, and even if it's a local issue, and then get involved, start it yourself if you have to?
Yeah, absolutely. And, so much of this, too, is forming community, which we all need so much right now. And we hear that again and again every time we have a new team member join. They're like, I also just want to be amongst people in my community, whether, that's near or far, but just people who are like-minded and kind of understand what you're going through. So you're kind of accomplishing a lot at once. You're fighting the good fight and you're forming community. And we just think that's so important right now.
That's great. I have to give another shout out to one of our other regular contributors to the show that helped put this together, and that's our good friend Kurt Mullet. From Hoosier Blue 63 in little old central Indiana. I mean, you guys have seen, he's doing some serious work. And I don't know if you know this or not, but he's thrown his hat into the ring to be part of the leadership for the Democratic Party there in his town in central Indiana. But it's folks like that and folks like you that have said, doggone it, I'm just not going to sit idly by and not get involved. And that's where the good stuff is because then you find, to your point, both of you, community. All of a sudden, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, our ideas are better. And 5 more people have gotten involved, and then 5 more people have shown up. That's how we take things back. We start local. What do you get? Yeah. Right?
Exactly.
So
yep. And
go ahead.
Kurt's fantastic. Coming across him, meeting people like Kurt has been a true highlight of this experience. So, yeah, we start locally and we build out. Now we have people from states all over the country adding their perspectives, and we're hoping to just keep on building on this momentum.
Yeah, I'm excited about what you guys are doing, and I'm glad to be able to have you on the show this morning. We will have you back, and we will find time to make that work for you, for both of you. And in the meantime, you got to do me the solid of sending me everything so that I can repurpose that out to our listeners and to make sure that people have the ability to plug into what you're working on. But also the really salient other part of this is making sure that people can take action in contacting the House of Representatives that are Republicans that are leaning in the direction to help get this done. And I think that's going to be that strategy is going to be critically important, not just for this legislation, but for other things that we need to stand in the void and protect the country from having to deal with. So I'm excited about what you're doing, and I'm thankful that you guys were able to be with us this morning. And give a quick how people can find you, websites, socials, and all of that before we let you go.
Yeah, so Equality Era Now on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. That is going to be the best way to find us. That's the same handle on all of those. And then our bio on all the socials will have the link to everything you need. So you can get everything from there.
Excellent, excellent. Well, guys, we've had Alyssa Steigerwalt and Alyssa Jacobson with us this morning, and I'm so excited that you guys are able to be a part of our show and help other listeners and followers get plugged into the work that you're doing. I will definitely be repurposing everything you send me, and we look forward to having you back in the near future. Does that sound good?
It sounds amazing. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much.